Before summer 2025, CloverWorks posted this visual to celebrate the release of upcoming anime adaptations of Dress Up Darling Season 2, Rascal Doesn't Dream of Santa Claus, and Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, which all would air during summer 2025 season and even on the same day. Well, they did air on the same day. If you knew the magical keywords, Watch Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, and instructed Google to find it for you. Man, you kids have it easy. Back in my day, we had to watch anime episodes as if they were JoJo parts. All of these anime adaptations are of the highest quality. Dress Up Darling returned with a new stylish costume. Rascal dreamed about having his movies be easily available, and Fragrant Flower brought the sweets. I've dubbed this lineup as the second Triumvirate, because men reminisce about Rome at least once a day, or whenever Historia Civilis uploads a new video. But just like with World War II, the existence of a second Triumvirate implies that we've been here before, and much like World War II, you might not even think about the first one. War to end war, nice job, idiots. You might not know what seasons or shows I'm talking about, and if you do, I bet you can't name the third anime without looking it up. It also ties to my analogy. The second Triumvirate was put into law and was public knowledge, just like CloverWorks advertising its summer 2025 anime. The first Triumvirate was not so hidden alliance between the top 3 politicians of Rome, but when it comes to CloverWorks, it only exists in my head, and I hate that guy. We have to go back, all the way to the winter 2022, which I would call a pretty good season, all things considered. It was the season where CloverWorks had 3 anime airing. Only 2 on the same day, unfortunately, but hey, unless you were sailing the high seas for Fragrant Flower, then you weren't watching on the same day either, so I'll count that. During winter 2022, my Dress Up Darling Season 1 aired, and it literally blew up, as close as an anime adaptation of a seinen manga can literally blow up. In this analogy, my Dress Up Darling is Caesar, and if you've been watching the most entertaining squares on YouTube, then you know why. The another anime that aired alongside my Dress Up Darling Season 1 was Akebi's Sailor's Uniform, which, to sum up, is a cute girls doing cute things anime directed by Quentin Tarantino. We also need a third player, and say it with me now. Tokyo 24th Ward. Yeah, you've probably forgotten about it, or don't know that it even exists. But would you rather be forgotten or be never known? That's foreshadowing for what kind of show Tokyo 24th Ward is. I just now realize how hard it is to say Tokyo 24th Ward. Tokyo 24th Ward. Before diving a bit deeper on these 3 shows, we should take a closer look what the year 2022 was for CloverWorks. Outside of the winter 2022 shows, they were the co-studios with Witch Studio on Spy Family, and they made a little hidden gem you might have never even heard of, called Bocchi the Rock, the adaptation that launched Saito Keiichiro's directing career and made the word bocce a descriptive adjective. What makes this year doubly special for CloverWorks, that it comes right after the disastrous production of Wonder Egg Priority, the anime that should be excluded from all the most disappointing anime threads, as someone will inevitably bring it up. Oh yeah, it also almost killed its staff. Let's continue a bit on that, not on the killing the staff part, but on the success part. My Dress Up Darling, to put it mildly, was a smashing success, and the combined Volume 1 DVD and Blu-ray sales were over 10,000. While this doesn't give us the whole picture, as Western anime fans tend to overestimate the importance of Blu-ray sales and downplay streaming revenue, but to put this into perspective, the first volume of Demon Slayer sold 11,000, but another big hit, Oshinoko, managed to only measly 7,000. Selling 3,000 copies is good. Tripling that is astonishing, and all but guarantees a full adaptation if other revenue streams are just as plentiful. All this to say that if Me Too was made today, Marin would be one of the figurines on the shelves, alongside with VTuber figurines or Funko Pops. Please comment below what VTuber Funko Pops would make the cut for me too. I guess that's a better fate than being the subject of a public Google Doc. My Dress Up Darling Season 1 is joy to watch. Filled with squealing otakus nerding about cosplay and whatever media they happen to stumble upon. And our male lead Koyo is the emotional core of the story, as My Dress Up Darling is as much his coming-out story and a story about this lovable girl, Marin. The early story has some flaws, such like this camera that likes Marin way too much, and some bottom-tier tropes, such as our male lead walking onto someone showering. Those flaws are ironed out by the later half of Season 1 and are non-existent in Season 2. But enough talk about MDAD. You probably know all of this, if not by watching or reading the work or just by cultural osmosis. What I find interesting is that the success of My Dress Up Darling Season 1 buried the other two shows from the minds of most weebs after the season ended. Okay, I'm giving too much credit to Tokyo 24th Ward, but Akebi's sailor uniform definitely deserves more. Hey you, One Punch Man fan, are you disappointed by the treatment that Season 3 is getting and have ever uttered the phrase, "Why does the most hyped battle manga have such a poor animation, but some cute girl's slice of life anime about pogo sticks gets the most beautiful animation you've ever seen?" Well, Akebi's sailor uniform is that show. I don't think I have to explain it to you. Just feast your eyes upon this. Akebi's sailor uniform is about Akebi and her sailor uniform. Man, they're getting really lazy with these light novel titles. Then again, the title is misleading. This story is actually about feet. No, but seriously. Akebi is a story about a girl just starting high school, in the same school her mother went to. And Akebi has been dreaming about having her own sailor uniform, just like her mother once had, and start her new school life. Only downside to that perfect plan is that the school in question changed their uniforms to a more practical, conservative ones. Good news is that Akebi gets the approval to wear her sailor uniform, which does make her stand out. We spent the show following Akebi making her first friends, helping her classmates with their insecurities and other troubles, and generally just being a ray of sunshine who quickly turns into a school idol. In a way, this show could be viewed as a collection of short stories told by girls who all met Akebi, and what a lasting impression she made on them. Akebi comes from a very rural town, where she and her sister are the only children left, not because of a war or anything, but because of socioeconomic forces. Akebi's sister is currently the only student in her school, just like Akebi was before her. It reminds me a lot of the small dying communities that were romanticized both in Nonon Biori and in Sakura Quest, but through two very different lenses. Akebi adds a third lens to this, and it's closer to Nonon Biori than Sakura Quest in that regard. It's mostly positive, and there are some strong emotional moments in here that do shine a light on aspects that us city folk couldn't understand. Speaking of lenses, the camera lens in Akebi, in true CloverWorks fashion, is really voyeuristic. Lots of shots through windows and bushes. CloverWorks did tone down the fanservice from the manga, which in my opinion was a good decision, and really is my only criticism with either the anime or the manga. It's still there, but there is less of it. Akebi also does the slice of life, cute girls doing cute things genre staple, which is that almost unprompted. It blesses you with a genuinely touching and sweet moment that you are not ready for, and those tears just start flowing. For my money, these are the best part for most slice of life anime. You get to know these characters, meet tons of new ones, and witness some great character bonding, and our characters taking on challenges, and then they say, "I hope no one is looking, because you're about to cry." In 3, 2, 1. Usually this happens at the end of the season, when it's time to say goodbye, but a smart slice of life anime will keep you on your toes, and sprinkle them throughout the show. Akebi definitely hits its mark, and honestly, if you're not picking up the phone when Akebi calls you, instead of a heart, you must have a piece of coal in your chest. Akebi manga also has one hidden tag, but I won't spoil what it is. Speaking of hidden, let's talk about the anime you've definitely have forgotten about. Now I'll be honest, I've never even heard about Tokyo 24th Ward or Tokyo 24Ku before starting to make this video, and I thought I was just going to brush it off as the black sheep of this lineup. But as it turns out, some parts of Tokyo 24Ku are pretty cool. It's still the worst show of the bunch, but it became clear while I was watching it that, hold up, this is just Minority Report. Well, not exactly. It's not as bad of dystopia than Minority Report, but it's heading there. It also mixes it up with some deep philosophical thought experiments, like the trolley problem, and the trolley problem again, and again. Okay, to be fair, there are other some poignant critiques of society buried in Tokyo 24th Ward, like how far are we willing to give up on privacy to feel safe, how rich corporations will push out smaller ones and escape consequences when their products turn people into addicts. Speaking of addicts, there are some thoughts about what's wrong with social media feeding us with outrage bait. If the phone app that literally turned its users into drug addicts didn't hit you in the face hard enough, then that certainly will. Surprisingly good commentary on police brutality, gentrification, and how those in power use statistics to label their citizens into criminals, thus taking away their rights. All of that sounds pretty interesting, but just like, brush them off. The show does as well, in the favor of the tried and tested trolley problem. That is not that interesting. Tokyo 24th Ward's biggest crime is that it touches upon deeper societal issues that we face, and it even has the foresight to touch upon AI, but they're all sidelined for trying to solve the trolley problem and find the third way to stop the train and save everyone. Okay. I didn't sell Tokyo 24th Ward, and I really just trashed it, but whenever I wasn't thinking too deeply about the show, it was enjoyable. There is some great animation, which is the CloverWorks staple, and all the main leads are all varying degrees of enjoyable, and they do some fucked up shit, especially our Classespo here, and his dad. And I just realized that I can't remember their names at all. I think that says more about me than the show, because our blue boy here calls for her girlfriend constantly, and I just can't remember her name without looking it up. Asumi. I hardly knew her. Also, our male lead has a blue hair, and his family name is Ai. Wonder Priority's main character is named Ai, and she also has a blue hair. Coincidence? Most likely, because Shuta doesn't have homophobia. I'm also a sucker for unusual scene transitions, and the Tokyo 24th Ward definitely delivered on that. The villains outside of the main one have understandable motivations and do vary from sympathetic to just plain old evil. At times it's also really funny, intentionally and unintentionally. I had a really good giggle how convoluted the setup for the final confrontation was in episode 1, that it definitely skewed my expectations for the better. I also tend to be more forgiving for anime originals, so your mileage may vary. I don't think that Tokyo 24th Ward is a must-watch, but if you love the trolley problem, then this anime is made just for you. The director Nakatsu Suda, who incidentally directed the first 5 JoJo parts, seems to love his dystopias, as Towa no Yugere is currently airing, and that is also messy. What was my gimmick for this video again? Oh yeah, so much like the first Triumvirate, CloverWorks saw the success they had and decided to run it back. This time with some advertising, which was the inspiration for me to make this video. Many rom-coms end up as one-season show, with the big signs of read the source material if you want to know what happens next at the end, but much like Caesar in late Roman Republic, they saw that Caesar was a pretty swell dude, so they decided to run it back with Caesar 2.0, now with no knife holsters. So, my Dress Up Darling Season 2 And what's there to say? Season 2 takes Season 1 and ramps it up to the next level, with arguably even better animation and stronger narrative. Season 2 picks up straight after Season 1 and continues exploring the cosplay life of Marin and Goyo, with new characters joining the fray and returning old favorites. Much like Season 1, we spent most of our time with Goyo, trying to break free from his past trauma by little breaking out of his shell to Marin and his friends and classmates. It's great, and Marin and Goyo's character dynamic is still top-notch, and if not for certain Rascal and Model, they would be the most entertaining pair in this video. Nothing is perfect though, and those that seek rom in their rom-coms will be left somewhat disappointed, as our couple only makes some slight progress. Marin is still head over heels for Goyo, but all of the advances stop at funny misunderstandings or Goyo's low self-esteem. This season focuses more on the love of all things otaku culture and less about the love between our characters, which, depending how you feel, could leave you with a sour taste in your mouth. Good news is that my dress-up darling is stupidly popular, and we will definitely see a conclusion to this story in an anime form, either with a movie or one core season, as there is one more arc to go through. If you haven't already given your mortal possessions to Marin, then what are you waiting for? Go watch it. Do you know what's nice? Fragrant flower blooms with dignity, of course. Do you know what's not nice? Fragrant flower blooms with dignity, stuck in Netflix jail. This is obviously not a problem anymore, but there was a time, long ago, when those that wanted to watch all anime in the CloverWorks second Triumvirate, as they aired, they could not do so legally. Enough about that, because Fragrant Flower is just a sweet show. I should know, I did a video about it after the manga hit its 100th chapter here. The team at CloverWorks, who were behind the adaptation of Akebi's Sailor uniform, brings us the adaptation for this popular romance manga. Fragrant Flower is just sweet, unadulterated honey being injected straight into your veins. Which might seem odd, because for my money, the first episodes are by far the worst ones, as the dramatic Romeo and Juliet setup gets the ball rolling, and the tugs being handsy towards Kaoruko and later Subaru, but thankfully that takes a sidestep quite fast. Rintaro has trauma pulled inside him that he tackles with constantly, and there is still drama between our schools, but the romance between Kaoruko and Rintaro is definitely the focus point of the anime, and all other elements just support that. You might have heard how the author was inspired by Attack on Titan to start working on the manga, but that's not completely true. Yes, the author did start working on it after watching Attack on Titan, but it was so bleak that they wanted to create a story where everything is just hunky-dory. Now you are very observant, and will point out, if this is supposed to be the opposite of Attack on Titan, why are there elements that are clearly there to just heighten the drama? That's a good point, and you are very handsome by pointing it out, but your guess is good as mine. I guess the author did not completely trust that the romance would carry on its own, and added some drama at the start to get the readers hooked. This is a bit of a spoiler for the manga, but currently manga is exploring these building blocks, and I think I have the completely opposite opinion of most, that I do want the melodrama to continue. But I do share the sentiment among some readers that the author shot themselves in the foot with the incident. The sorry count ain't going to fix all of it. Rascal Sakuta is back with the best girl Mai, but this time we leave the high school behind and take on new puberty syndromes in college environment. Honestly, this is more of the same as what came before it. Sakuta gets dragged into some girl's life and tries to solve her puberty syndrome so he can go back and be lovey-dovey with Mai, which is objectively the best relationship dynamic in this video, and arguably all time. Nothing in this season hits as hard as the first syndrome in season 1 or the first movie, but all the syndromes are at least enjoyable to piece together. Best thing about this season is that you can finally find the movies on streaming, as Crunchyroll licensed the movies, so you can catch up without scoring the internet for them. Actually, I take that back. The best part is, and I'm going to spoil this because it's great, one of the girls has a crush on Sakuta, wants to start a relationship with him, and she knows him the best, Because she can read his thoughts. Strong case, right? Think again, peasant. As she tries to pester Mai with this fact, Mai actually knows Sakuta's train of thought better than this girl, who can literally read his mind. It's amazing, and one of the reasons why Mai is the best girl. Even if the answer for what goes on Sakuta's mind would always be horny. So what makes CloverWorks such a special boy, that I want to give them a special treatment by making this video and not bothering with the gimmick after halfway? Because I really like all of these shows, and to my knowledge, Summer 2025 was the only event where 3 different anime aired on the same day by the same studio. I did look for other examples, and for example, which studio for instance almost made it in spring 2015, when they had 4 anime airing, but only 2 were on the same day. Maybe there is another studio, but I got kinda bored going through the anime studios on Mal. Multiple studios have put out 3 or more anime in same season. PA Works, for instance, did it in summer 2024, but JC Staff takes the cake, and they are notorious for this, as they churn out tons of anime each season, sometimes even more than 3 per season. Like in fall 2024, where they had 5, and surprisingly, few of them were fine, and few were actually good. Good job, past JC Staff. I was going to end the video here, but I had a thought forming in my tiny brain while browsing all of these anime studios, going back years of their catalog, and not bothering to look earlier than 2010, because their output tended to slow down, so I was unlikely to find a mythical season where the stars aligned. Then my brain started to actually think what that could mean, and I realized quite fast that man, there is so much anime coming out. Are the people that make these anime doing well? Paolo from Tokyo has this wonderful video where he spends a day with one of my favorites, Honmasu, a director at PA Works, who in this video is working on Mayonaka Punch, which was a great comedy anime about vampire YouTubers. Go watch it. The reason I bring this up is because Sue's day starts at 8:30 AM and ends in, well, there is this funny cut at the end of the video where Sue notes at 9:30 PM that he just has to add some final adjustments to the episode storyboard, and it certainly won't take long. Hard cut to 1 AM, and he finally gets to go home at 1:30 AM. And to add to the tragedy or to the comedy, he gets a ride home from someone who is going to work even later into the night than him. I'm not sure how to feel about this. I'm conflicted because we do get more anime, and it's becoming very easy to find multiple shows each season that are made just for you. And the reason why I also call bullshit on anyone that makes a remark in the nature of weak season or there is nothing to watch. Buddy, just scroll down. There is more anime than the top 6. But there has to be some sort of human cost to bring out all of these getting kicked out of Isekai Hero Party anime. I jokingly brought up One Direct Priority a couple of times, and for a good reason. Web is a poster child for a production that had great ambitions, but a tight deadlines and not enough manpower that killed its production. I'm also not sure if the increased amount of anime are leading to a better pay and work-life balance for the people that create the anime I love. I obviously don't have solutions, other than I hope anime studios will be part of the production committees, since they are the ones that finance and get the actual profits if the anime becomes a surprise hit. But that's like telling someone who is depressed, have you tried being happy and good things will happen. And even if anime studios are part of the production committee, that doesn't mean that the profit trickles down to the actual people who create the anime. Maybe this is the fate of all passion industries, as there will always be new meat for the grinder. And enough people do make it to the top, so it gives that faint bit of hope that anyone can make it. That's a bit of a downer, but at least we get some good art out of it. Remember that good receptionist anime? Maybe you don't, as it was just okay, but more and more it feels like a cry for help, rather than an average fantasy romp. Go watch the anime I mentioned here, or maybe rent an anime movie. Do people still rent movies? I thought people only rented girlfriends. Maybe watch more Paolo's videos, like this one that follows a mangaka who is best at his game. Bye bye, and next up is the best of 2025 in anime.